Picture this. On a busy street corner in Austin, Texas, a small figure stands out from the rushing crowd. 8-year-old Marcus Tonson isn't playing with friends or watching cartoons. Instead, he's selling hand-drawn pictures for $5 each, his determined eyes scanning every passing face. These aren't just any drawings. They're his mother's last hope. "My mom needs special medicine," Marcus explains, his voice barely a whisper. "The doctors say it costs $12,000. I'm good at trawling, so maybe I can help." That's when Joe Rogan, walking to his studio for another podcast episode, notices something unusual through the sea of indifferent faces. A child, alone, selling artwork on a cold afternoon. Joe approaches, curious about the young artist's story, but what he discovers stops him in his tracks. "My mom. She has a rare condition," Marcus continues, fighting back tears. "She can't work anymore. Sometimes she can't even get out of bed." The drawings scattered across the makeshift cardboard stand tell their own story. Superheroes battling invisible enemies, just like his mother battles her illness every day. What happens next leaves onlookers speechless. Joe doesn't just buy a drawing. He kneels down, eye level with Marcus, and makes a promise that changes everything. "You shouldn't have to do this alone, buddy," Joe says, his voice cracking with emotion. "Let me help." The story of what unfolds next would touch millions of hearts across the globe. But before we dive deeper into this extraordinary tale of compassion and hope, let's rewind to understand the events that led young Marcus to that street corner on that fateful afternoon. Sarah Tonson's story begins in the vibrant halls of East Austin Elementary, where for 12 years she transformed young lives with her unique approach to teaching. Her classroom wasn't just a place of learning. It was a sanctuary where creativity and compassion intertwined. Students who struggled in other classes would flourish under her guidance, as she had a gift for seeing the potential in every child, just as she saw it in her own son. The single mother's journey hadn't been easy. After losing her husband Thomas in a tragic accident just months before Marcus was born, Sarah had channeled her grief into creating a world of wonder and possibility for her son. Their small apartment became a gallery of imagination, with walls covered in Marcus's evolving artwork, each piece marking a milestone in their journey together. But life has a way of testing our strongest warriors. The first signs were subtle: a slight tremor in her hand while writing on the chalkboard, occasional moments of disorientation during parent-teacher conferences. Sarah dismissed these as mere exhaustion, the natural toll of balancing single parenthood with a demanding career. But when she collapsed during a school assembly, the truth could no longer be ignored. The diagnosis came after weeks of tests and specialists. Progressive neurodegenerative syndrome, a rare condition affecting only 1 in 500,000 people. Without immediate intervention, the prognosis was devastating: gradual loss of motor function, cognitive decline, and eventually complete dependence on full-time care. The recommended treatment, an experimental drug therapy combining cutting-edge neurological research with targeted immunotherapy, offered hope. But that hope came with a staggering price tag: $12,000 per month, with a minimum commitment of 6 months to assess its effectiveness. Sarah's insurance, already stretched thin covering basic medical needs, deemed the treatment experimental and refused coverage. In the months that followed, Sarah's world began to shrink. The vibrant classroom teacher who once danced and sang with her students now struggled to maintain her balance. Simple tasks like grading papers or preparing lesson plans became monumental challenges. Eventually, with tears in her eyes, she had to take an indefinite leave of absence from the job she loved. The financial impact was immediate and severe. Sarah had always lived modestly, but now every penny was scrutinized. The car she'd worked so hard to buy was sold. Their comfortable 2-bedroom apartment was exchanged for a smaller unit in a less desirable neighborhood. Even Marcus's art supplies, once abundant and varied, were reduced to the bare essentials. But it was Marcus who refused to accept defeat. In the quiet hours of the night, while his mother slept fitfully in the next room, he would sit at their small kitchen table, drawing by the light of a single lamp. Each piece was a prayer, a hint, a declaration of love transferred onto paper through colored pencils and markers. Mrs. Rodriguez, their elderly neighbor who had become like a grandmother to Marcus, watched over him during these late-night sessions. A retired art teacher herself, she recognized in Marcus not just raw talent, but a depth of emotion that transformed each drawing into a powerful story. I remember the night he drew the guardian angel, Mrs. Rodriguez would later recall to Joe Rogan. It was his mother, you see, but with wings made of medicine bottles and syringes. Even at 8 years old, he understood that sometimes our angels come with prescriptions instead of halos. The idea to sell his artwork came to Marcus after watching a documentary about street artists in New York City. That same night, he gathered his best drawings, carefully arranged them in his father's old portfolio that Sarah had kept, and announced his plan to his mother. Sarah's initial reaction was a mixture of pride and heartbreak. "Baby, you don't have to do this," she had said, her voice wavering. "We'll find another way." But Marcus was adamant. "Dad was an artist," he declared, his young face set with determination, "and he used his art to help people feel better. Now it's my turn." The first few days on the street corner were discouraging. People rushed past, too busy with their own lives to notice the small boy with the big dreams. Some would pause, smile sympathetically, and continue walking. Others would drop $1 or $2 in his collection jar, not even taking a drawing in return. But Marcus persevered. Each morning before school, he would create new pieces. Each afternoon, he would stand at his cardboard stand, sharing his story with anyone who would listen. Mrs. Rodriguez would watch from a nearby bench, providing both protection and encouragement. Day by day, his technique improved. The initial simple sketches evolved into more complex pieces, each one carrying a piece of his story. There was The Battle, showing his mother as a warrior princess fighting shadowy monsters. The Hope Garden, depicting their apartment building transformed into a magical castle where illness couldn't enter. And his masterpiece, Love's Light, the piece that would eventually catch Joe Rogan's eye. 23 days into his mission, Marcus had sold enough drawings to raise $147. It was a far cry from the thousands needed, but to him, it represented something more valuable than money. It was proof that his art could make a difference. That was the day everything changed. The day Joe Rogan, walking to his studio for another podcast recording, noticed something different about the usual street scene. Later, he would describe it as a moment of clarity in the chaos of city life. You know how sometimes you're just going through the motions, head down, focused on your next meeting or deadline? Joe would later reflect on his podcast. But then something hits you, really hits you, and suddenly you're fully present in the moment. That's what happened when I saw Marcus. The interaction that followed would become legendary in Austin's local lore, but few know the full extent of what transpired in those first few minutes. Joe didn't immediately recognize the profound impact this encounter would have. Instead, he was simply drawn to the rawness and honesty in Marcus's artwork. The piece that caught his attention, Love's Light, wasn't just a drawing. It was a window into Marcus's soul. The woman in the image, Sarah, was portrayed with extraordinary detail for a child artist. Her face showed both pain and determination, while the darkness surrounding her wasn't just black. It was composed of tiny, intricate patterns representing different aspects of her illness. But most striking was the golden light emanating from her heart, rendered in careful strokes that made it seem to pulse with real energy. "When did you learn to draw like this?" Joe asked, kneeling down to examine the piece more closely. Marcus's response was simple but profound. "I didn't learn, sir. I just draw what I feel." This authentic connection between emotion and art resonated deeply with Joe. Throughout his career, he had interviewed countless artists, athletes, and performers who spoke about channeling their pain into their craft. But here was a child who had instinctively grasped this concept, using art not just as expression, but as a lifeline. The conversation that followed wasn't just about Marcus's mother's condition or the cost of her treatment. It delved into deeper territories: the nature of love, the weight of responsibility, and the unexpected ways life tests our strength. Joe found himself sharing stories from his own journey, about times when he felt overwhelmed by circumstances beyond his control. "You know what the hardest part is?" Marcus confided, his young voice carrying wisdom beyond his years. It's not the drawing or the selling. The seeing mom try to hide how scared she is. Sometimes I pretend to be asleep, but I hear her crying at night. This raw honesty struck a chord with Joe. As someone known for facilitating deep, meaningful conversations on his podcast, he recognized the rare authenticity in Marcus's words. Here was a story that needed to be told, not just for Marcus and Sarah's sake, but for anyone who had ever felt powerless in the face of life's greatest challenges. Joe's initial Instagram post about Marcus wasn't just a call for donations. It was a carefully crafted message about human resilience, the power of art, and the responsibility we all share to help those in need. Within hours, the post had gone viral, but Joe knew that social media attention alone wouldn't be enough. The plan he put into motion was comprehensive and far-reaching. First, he contacted Dr. Elena Martinez, a neurological specialist known for her innovative approach to treating rare conditions. Through his network of medical professionals, he arranged for Sarah to receive immediate consultation and care. But Joe's vision extended beyond just medical intervention. He recognized that Marcus's talent needed nurturing, that this young artist's gift could inspire others facing similar challenges. The art exhibition he organized at Gateway Gallery became more than a fundraiser. It was a celebration of the human spirit's capacity to create beauty even in the darkest times. The exhibition, Hearts of Gold, A Child's Journey of Love, transformed the gallery into a storytelling space. Each of Marcus's drawings was displayed alongside professional photographs of the scenes or emotions they depicted. The centerpiece was an interactive installation where visitors could create their own artwork expressing their experiences with illness, loss, and hope. The opening night was a testament to the power of community. Local artists, inspired by Marcus's story, contributed pieces that complemented his work. Musicians performed songs written specifically for the event, their lyrics echoing themes of resilience and unconditional love. Sarah, able to attend thanks to a temporary treatment regime Dr. Martinez had prescribed, watched in awe as her son's artwork touched heart after heart. Collectors from across the country bid on Marcus's original pieces, with some drawings selling for tens of thousands of dollars. But the most powerful moment came when Marcus unveiled his newest piece, created specifically for the exhibition. Titled The Circle of Hope, it showed a diverse group of people forming a circle, each person's heart connected to the others by streams of golden light. In the center stood a small boy and his mother, their combined light reaching out to touch every person in the circle. "This is what I see now," Marcus explained to the gathered crowd, his voice clear and confident. "It's not just about Mom and me anymore. It's about all of us helping each other." The impact of Marcus and Joe's chance encounter continued to ripple outward. Local businesses, inspired by the story, began creating programs to support families facing similar medical challenges. Art therapy programs were established in hospitals across Austin, with Marcus's story serving as a testament to the healing power of creative expression. Sarah's treatment under Dr. Martinez's care showed promising results. Though the road to recovery would be long, the improvement in her condition was undeniable. She began working part-time as an art therapy consultant, using her experience as both a teacher and a patient to help others navigate their healing journeys. Joe Rogan's podcast audience witnessed a profound evolution in their host's perspective. The man known for tough questions and controversial opinions revealed a deeper layer of compassion and understanding. Episodes began featuring more stories of everyday heroes, people who, like Marcus, faced seemingly insurmountable challenges with creativity and grace. "Meeting Marcus changed how I view success," Joe shared in a particularly moving episode. "We chase these big goals, try to build empires, but sometimes the most meaningful impact we can have is just being present when someone needs us. Marcus taught me that real strength isn't about having power. It's about how we use whatever power we have to lift others up." Today, the story continues to evolve. Marcus's original cardboard stand, preserved and displayed at the Austin Children's Museum, has become a symbol of hope and perseverance. Children visiting the museum leave notes and drawings of their own, creating a growing testament to the power of art and love. The foundation Sarah established, Drawing Hope, has expanded beyond Austin, creating a network of support for families facing rare medical conditions. Through art therapy programs, financial assistance, and community building, it embodies the spirit of that first encounter between a podcast host and a young street artist. Marcus, now attending art classes at a prestigious local studio, continues to create. His style has evolved, but the emotional depth that first caught Joe's attention remains. Each piece still tells a story of hope, resilience, and the unbreakable bond between a mother and son. The street corner where it all began has been transformed too. The city commissioned a massive mural, collaboratively designed by Marcus and local artists, depicting scenes from his journey. At night, special lighting makes the golden elements in the mural glow, creating a beacon of hope in the urban landscape. But perhaps the most lasting impact is the change in perspective experienced by those who hear this story. In a world often dominated by negativity and division, Marcus and Joe's encounter reminds us of our shared humanity and the extraordinary power of simple kindness. As Joe Rogan often reflects now, sometimes the biggest changes start with the smallest moments of connection. Marcus didn't just sell me a drawing that day. He showed me what real courage looks like. And that's something you can't put a price on. For Marcus Thompson, Joe Rogan, and the countless lives they've touched, that busy street corner became more than just a meeting place. It became a turning point, a reminder that in our darkest moments, light can come from the most unexpected sources. And sometimes, that light looks like a child's drawing, offered with hope, received with love, and transformed by the power of human connection into something far greater than anyone could have imagined. Because in the end, it's not just about selling drawings or buying medicine. It's about the moments that define us, the choices that reveal our humanity, and the incredible power of one person choosing to see another's pain and saying, simply and powerfully, "Let me help." And sometimes that person might just be Joe Rogan, but really it could be any of us. All it takes is the courage to stop, the heart to listen, and the will to act. Because in those moments, we're all Marcus. We're all Joe. We're all part of a larger story of human connection that continues to unfold, one act of kindness at a time, in corners and streets and hearts across the world. And that story, the still being written, every single day, the legacy of that gray afternoon continues to grow, touching lives in ways neither Marcus nor Joe could have imagined. Each month, the Drawing Hope Foundation receives hundreds of letters from around the world, stories of similar struggles, moments of connection, and lives transformed by acts of kindness inspired by Marcus's story. One such letter came from a retired firefighter in Seattle who, after hearing Marcus's story on Joe's podcast, started an art therapy program for first responders dealing with PTSD. Another arrived from a small town in Maine, where a local coffee shop now features a permanent wall dedicated to showcasing artwork by children facing medical challenges in their families. The ripple effects of that chance encounter have even reached beyond American shores. A hospital in London has implemented a Marcus Thompson art card program, bringing art supplies to children visiting sick relatives. In Australia, a group of street artists created a series of murals inspired by Marcus's journey, each one incorporating elements from his original drawings. Dr. Martinez's innovative treatment approach, initially developed for Sarah, has revolutionized how the medical community views the intersection of conventional and creative therapies. Her groundbreaking study, The Art of Healing, Creative Expression as a Catalyst for Neurological Recovery, published in the New England Journal of Medicine, documented how patients who combined traditional treatment with artistic expression showed a 47% higher rate of improvement in motor function and cognitive retention. The medical community, once skeptical of such holistic approaches, now regularly incorporates art therapy into treatment protocols for a wide range of neurological conditions. What we learned from Sarah and Marcus, Dr. Martinez often says in her lectures, is that healing isn't just about medicine. It's about awakening the body's natural ability to fight back through emotional and creative engagement. The cardboard stand that started it all has become more than just a museum piece. It's a symbol of hope that continues to inspire thousands. Every first Saturday of the month, that same street corner transforms into a vibrant outdoor gallery called Street Corner Stories, where artists of all ages gather to share their works and journeys. The event, now in its third year, has become a cherished Austin tradition, drawing visitors from across the country. Local businesses donate art supplies, Professional artists offer free workshops, and medical professionals provide health screenings for families in need. Each year during the festival's opening ceremony, Marcus returns to that same spot, not to sell drawings, but to teach other young artists his most valuable lesson. Art isn't just about what you create, he tells them, his voice carrying the wisdom of someone who's lived through extraordinary times. It's about the hope you give others through what you create. Sarah, whose condition has stabilized beyond the doctor's most optimistic predictions, has become a beacon of hope in her own right. She divides her time between leading workshops for parents facing similar challenges and working with the Drawing Hope Foundation's newly established research division. Her workshops, called Warrior Circle, combine practical coping strategies with creative expression techniques. When I was at my lowest, she often shares, it wasn't just the medicine that kept me going. It was watching my son turn our struggle into something beautiful. He taught me that our illnesses may define our limitations, but they don't define our lives. It's the love we share, the art we create, and the connections we make that truly matter. Her story has inspired the creation of similar programs in hospitals across the country, where parents find strength and solidarity through shared experiences and creative expression. Joe Rogan's podcast has evolved in ways nobody could have predicted. While maintaining its signature style of deep conversations and challenging discussions, it's gained a new dimension of human connection. The Marcus Moments segment, airing every Friday, has become one of the show's most popular features. Listeners share stories of unexpected encounters that changed their lives, from small acts of kindness to life-altering interventions. Each story is accompanied by original artwork created by artists from the Drawing Hope Foundation's mentorship program. What Marcus taught me, Joe often reflects during these segments, is that real influence isn't about follower counts or download numbers. It's about being present in those crucial moments when someone needs exactly what you can give. Sometimes that's money or resources, but more often, it's just the willingness to stop and really see another human being. Marcus, now taking advanced art classes and mentoring younger students, has developed a unique style that art critics are calling emotional realism. His latest series, Everyday Angels, captures ordinary people in moments of extraordinary compassion. A nurse holding a patient's hand during a difficult diagnosis, a teacher staying late to help a struggling student, a stranger sharing their umbrella during an unexpected storm. Each piece is accompanied by a story, written in Marcus's own words, about the moment that inspired it. His work has been featured in major galleries across the country, but he still maintains his strongest connection to the local community. Every Wednesday afternoon, you'll find him at the Children's Hospital, teaching art to young patients and their siblings, helping them find their own way to express the complex emotions that come with illness and recovery. This story, at its heart, is about more than just one boy's determination or one man's generosity. It's about the profound truth that we are all connected in ways we barely understand. Every gesture of kindness, every moment of genuine connection, sends ripples through the fabric of our shared human experience. In an age of digital connections and virtual relationships, this story stands as a testament to the irreplaceable power of human contact, of being present in the moment, of choosing to engage with the world around us, rather than passing by with downcast eyes. The drawing that started it all, Love's Light, now hangs in a place of honor in Joe Rogan's studio. But its real power isn't in the art itself. It's in what it represents. It's a reminder that sometimes the most profound changes in our lives come not from grand gestures or carefully laid plans, but from those rare moments when we truly see each other, when we recognize our shared humanity in the eyes of a stranger. For every person who hears this story, there's an invitation to look up, to pause, to notice, because somewhere, right now, there's another Marcus waiting to be seen, another story waiting to be heard, another life waiting to be touched by the simple act of stopping and saying, "Let me help." And in that moment, we all have the power to be Joe Rogan. We all have the ability to transform a simple encounter into something extraordinary. All it takes is the courage to stop, the compassion to listen, and the willingness to act. Because in the end, the greatest art we can create is the positive change we bring to others' lives. And that masterpiece, it's still being painted, one act of kindness at a time, in streets and corners and hearts across the world. This is more than just a story. It's a call to action, a reminder that every day presents us with opportunities to be someone's Joe Rogan, to be the person who stops, who sees, who acts. Because sometimes, the smallest moments of connection can create the biggest changes in our world. And that story, it continues to unfold every single day, in ways we may never fully know but will forever change the lives it touches.